Okay, round two. Name something that's not boring.
A laundry? Ooh, a book club. Computer solitaire, huh?
Ah, sorry, we were looking for Chumba Casino. That's right, ChumbaCasino.com has over 100 casino-style games. Join today and play for free for your chance to redeem some serious prizes. ChumbaCasino.com. No purchase necessary. Void where prohibited by law. 18 plus. Terms and conditions apply. See website for details.
Tired of ads barging into your favorite news podcasts? Good news. Ad-free listening on Amazon Music is included with your Prime membership. Just head to amazon.com/ad-free news podcasts to catch up on the latest episodes without the ads. Enjoy thousands of Acast shows ad-free for Prime subscribers. Some shows may have ads.
Well, yippee, car fucking yay, it's Tuesday. This is Slogging It. Welcome back. Welcome back to Simon, actually. Eugene and I were together when you last heard from us, while we interviewed the legend that is Mr. Mike Gatting, OBE, and some very favourable feedback received from that wonderful interview. Simon, welcome back, mate. Thoughts initially on the interview with Gat?
I thought it was very good. Very, very good. He made some very interesting points. He's done a lot, hasn't he, in the game? A lot of and a lot of highly commendable work since he finished playing. He talks about the stuff that he's been doing in China and Hong Kong. All very interesting. I really liked his thoughts on team sports. That's obviously aligns a lot with what obviously is heavily involved in the tabs, and that's what their thoughts are anyway. So yes, I really like that, and the thought that being involved in team sports, no matter what it is, he was obviously involved in football and cricket. The thoughts that and being involved in that can massively develop you, help you through life as you get older. I fundamentally believe in as well. So yeah, just very interesting, very insightful to know. Following sort of the bit of the rant that I had about the ICC and high-end organisations within sport, to know that obviously he was involved in the MCC cricket committee and various things like that. That there is some people. I did notice he was never employed by the ICC, so we'll take that. But there is people like the MCC, and there are organisations out there that are trying to develop the game in spite of the ICC doing their best to narrow it off to maybe 4 or 5 nations. So yeah, it was a brilliant interview, absolutely brilliant interview. Well done to you, Per, for coaxing him through it. I know he's not been interviewed a lot. But no, it was very interesting, and yeah.
Well, I guess, Huge, when we were doing that and when we were talking about it, and we obviously asked Gat about it as well, we just decided that everybody's heard about the Shane Warne thing, haven't they? Everybody's seen the thing, all the coverage of him having his nose broken in the West Indies. We wanted to kind of get a different bit of information out of him than what. There's no point rehashing the same stories that everybody's heard over and over again, right?
Yeah, I mean, he is the epitome of the professionalism. All you got to do is ask him a question, and he talks for 5.5 minutes on each question and covers everything, which was phenomenal. It was one of the easiest interviews because all you do is tee him up and then go make a cup of tea and come back when he's finished. But yeah, he was so good, so good from an interview point of view, and hopefully listeners thought that we asked questions, as you say, that were completely different and off piece compared to everything he normally gets asked.
Well,
so hopefully people know that now he's involved in the Hong Kong cricket club, and he's got
that looks a good trip, by the way.
Yeah,
it does. Yeah, we should see if we can pack ourselves in his luggage next time he pops over there. I think.
Right, a guy that was my coach.
I like the way he called it the watering hole on the way to Australia. Yes. I quite like that.
So a guy that used to be my coach when I was playing, a guy called Matt Wright, was actually the head coach at Hong Kong Cricket Club for an amount of time. I don't know if he's still there, actually. He might still be the head coach. Who knows? But a couple of times I spoke to him since he went over there first time in about 2007, 2008 to run some coach. I ended up living out there for a bit. It did sound like he was having a lot of fun.
Yeah,
Singapore play cricket the right way.
Singapore Cricket Club looks like a right spot as well. I had a mate of mine who now works for Liv at a senior level, who James Watson, who I played with at Wimbledon, went out and lived in Singapore for a while, which just looked insane. So, but following on from Gat, 2 other ex-England captains lined up for interviews with the 3 of us, or well, it'll be 2 of us each, won't it? But very excited to announce that we've got Chris Cowry and David Gower lined up to the 3 interviews, kind of back to back, if you like, of 3 ex-England cricket captains and 3 absolute legends of the English game. So exciting times.
Yeah, it should be good to compare notes. And obviously, we were at the dinner the other week with Chris, and he sort of explained how he got into the England captaincy role, which is a very, very funny story.
We'll say
but no, it'd been like different philosophies and different stuff. Like Gat was obviously very much, I am who I am. Don't need to do a lot differently. It'll be interesting. But that was certainly within the Middlesex dressing room. We didn't really. There wasn't really a lot of questioning on the England dressing room, which, let's face it, throughout that time period was an interesting spot to be in. Some interesting characters. So it was a bit of a hide into nothing, really, with what you found out that everything was going on behind the scenes. And obviously, Lord Gower has got some even funnier stories that may or may not involve a Messerschmitt or
Tiger
a
Moth,
different
wasn't it?
type of Tiger Moth. Yeah. So
not a Messerschmitt. Jesus wept. No,
that would have been some coincidence at the time. But no, so yeah, good. We've got some good stuff coming up, hopefully, and hopefully you guys are listening, enjoy it, and agree with us that we love doing it. So we hope you guys enjoy listening to it.
Well, exactly. So other things that we're going to talk about tonight is the fact that Glenn Maxwell is just the roguest legend, I think, ever to walk the face of the planet. We will be discussing the Big Bash, the SA20, England's upcoming tour to India, and anything else we can think of. So, Eugene, if I said we were going to start with England, you'd want to talk about the SA20. So we're going to start with Australia. The Big Bash. Now, very interesting scorecard from the game the other day that you were talking to us about off air. Do you want to just elaborate, please?
Yeah, I can do. Obviously, the Big Bash is coming to a climax. Well, as we record this on Tuesday, it'll be tomorrow morning. It'll be Wednesday morning. So hopefully when you're listening to this, if for those of you that are listening to the pod, you can tune in and have a look at what's going on in the Big Bash final. But yeah, a really, really interesting scorecard with a certain Jay Brown, who is a competitive bat maker to the wonderful brand that is Woodstock. He scored 140 or 57 balls. He is only one of 2 people to score double figures. The second person scored 33. And then the next highest was 9. And then there was extras at 8. But it was an unbelievable scorecard for, I think that just creates like a one-man team. He carried the Heat through in every sense of the word.
So was this in the kind of finals section of the Big Bash? Or was this still in the kind of round-robin groupie stagey?
Yeah, it was the playoff. It was one of the 16 playoffs that they've had with the way that they've worked it out. The same as the
I was going to say
of the IPL.
Because one of the things that we have often taken aim at the Big Bash for is the fact that it seems to last about 27 months every year. But this year, it hasn't seemed to for me. I don't know if they've changed it at all, but it doesn't seem to have dragged on for anywhere near as long as it has done previously. Or has it been exactly the same?
If you think about it, I think it's a little bit shorter. If you think about it, it started in December and we are now at the end of January. So the best part of close to 2 months of cricket. Yeah, it has been going on quite a while. But yeah, I mean, the interesting thing is that the Heat lost in the qualifier on the 19th and then went through to what they call the knockout, where they played against the Scorchers. The Scorchers played against the Adelaide Strikers. The Adelaide Strikers went through. The Heat then had another go because of where they finished in the log and ended up beating the Strikers convincingly in the end by the best part of 55 runs. So, and then the final, as I say, tomorrow.
And who is it tomorrow? The Heat and the
Sydney Sixers.
Oh, so the Scorchers, who are without a shadow, the most successful side in Big Bash history are not in the final, which is interesting.
I stand to be corrected, but I think they were going for the triple. So,
Yeah, I think they were, because they had that amazing comeback in the final last year with that Cooper Connolly, who's got the roguest haircut ever known to man outside.
Big shout in Australia at the minute.
Well, yeah, and outside of the deep south in the US. Robbo, you also noticed something interesting from that particular game's scorecard surrounding one Matthew Renshaw, once of, the next big Australian hope, wasn't he?
Well, yeah, when I first saw the scorecard, it was like I was looking at an under-11 scorecard where someone had allowed a 17-year-old to play. And like a big brother had rocked up and just gone, no, I'm going to teach you kids a lesson here. But no, he did manage to put on, he was part of quite a successful partnership in that innings with Mr. Brown. And they managed to bat for 5 overs. They put on, I think it was 60, of which he got 6 in 9 balls. So in the other 20 balls, his mate managed to knock a steady 50 odd, which is, It's a supporting role. It's a supporting role, and every good innings needs a crutch somewhere. For every Ben Stokes, there is a Jack Leach.
Captains will say to you though, as the new batter, just get one, just get the batsman who's in back on strike.
I don't think anyone says that in T20 anymore, do they?
Well, maybe not. That was a little ode to Neil Turk there. My old skipper used to go berserk about it. Just get off fucking strike.
Considering he didn't block a ball in his entire career, yes. It's easy for him to say.
No.
But no, one thing I will comment on, all the Mickey Mouse, T20 franchise cricket that seems to be going off at the same time at the minute. The one thing that has quite impressed me in some of the bits that I've watched, some of the fielding has been redonkulous.
Yeah.
Some of the stuff that we've seen on boundaries. There was one in the New Zealand Auckland and District Pub T20 tournament that they got going off around the same time, where the guy dived full length, caught it, as he was sliding towards the rope, threw it back over his shoulder to his mate that was running round. What my wording of it cannot possibly do it justice. In the thing that a picture paints 1,000 words, this video writes a blinking novel, because it is insane what this guy manages to do. You've also had some of the guys in the SA20. There was some big South African youth that thought he'd smash one out the park. And one of the English lads in the tournament dived full length backwards again, caught it one-handed, threw it around his back into play, got up, jumped out. They didn't run.
Yes, true story.
That'd be a dot.
Yeah. No, it has been. The standard of fielding's been absolutely sensational, hasn't it? And continues to get better. Sometimes you watch some things and wonder how it can get better, but inevitably it will.
What you need to really ruin the fielding is a good old-fashioned England versus India Test series where it's going to be 9 billion degrees C. If there's ever a country that, or a series that obviously encourages high-quality fielding, it is playing in 368 degrees in Kolkata in front of about 3 men and a dog in a 150,000 seater stadium with a good amount of breeze just to take the edge off the heat. Oh no, that's right.
No,
yeah, and everyone has to field in helmets because they're constantly stood around the bat.
Well, yes. Yeah, I wasn't quite ready to move on to the England-India Test Series, but thanks for the segue anyway. Now, one thing that I do just want to cover off before we move on, and it is something that we've whinged and moaned and arseholed about before, but you look at the Big Bash in particular, and with the way that these contracts are set up, to the way that these lads play and move about these T20 tournaments now, the quality of player playing in the back end of the Big Bash tournament, the crunch end, the quality of cricket has gone through the floor compared to the group stages, because people are allowed to go and play 4 games here and 4 games there and earn as much money as they can. We have previously said that if you sign, you should sign for a team for a tournament. But for whatever reason, the cricket administrators do not want to seem to take our advice. Eugene, what do you think?
there was a day, the 19th of January, where there was 4 T20 competitions going on.
Good.
There was the Big
Good
Bash.
day for the
There
world.
was the
the 19th.
SA20. Yeah, there was SA20. There was the ITL and the BPL, all happening at exactly the same time. So, if you had anything to do with cricket, you should have had a job.
And the Super Smash going on as well. The New Zealand.
In New Zealand, yeah.
Oh, yeah, ridiculous.
Yeah.
And
That's
they
the
wonder
other
why.
name.
One quick thing before we move on to
and District Pub League, by the way, the Super Smash is the more rogue name for the Auckland and District Skittles Pub T20 tournament.
Slight segue as we are talking about T20 competitions, and I know we are going to talk a few of them, but I did see today that there is a clash between the true. There's a clash between the Major League Cricket League and the 100. So there's going to be competition for players that came out today. I don't know if you saw that.
There isn't, and I tell you why. Because the Major League Cricket pays about double what the 100 does, so there won't be. There's going to be no issue. There's going to be no decision there for people to be. People would rather go to America and play poor quality cricket than come to the UK and play poor quality cricket because they get paid more for it. So it's about that simple, I would suggest. Why come and face Gus Atkinson when you can go to Florida and face a 39-year-old Liam Plunkett? I know what I'd rather be doing.
Well, I could, if I was facing Gus Atkinson in Florida, I'd rather be in Florida, if I'm honest.
Fair.
So you can pay me twice as much money to be in Florida
than Cardiff.
Or I can be in Cardiff watching it rain. I'm taking Florida, and mainly because the golf courses are probably slightly better as well. So if it does rain, I mean, you're going to be all right. To be fair, this is all going to end soon anyway, because the teams that own, you're going to have, God knows, Sunrisers or whoever else. By the time they've got Miami Superchargers or whoever they're called, it'll all be owned by the team there, the IPL, and so they'll have formed a 12 months of the year league that goes all the way around the different countries. The 100 will sell out to it. We all know that. We can see it coming. The 100 will become a T20 tournament that the Indian companies own, will buy into, and they will have centrally contracted cricketers. So you will have all your cricketers playing in various different tournaments around the world.
Well,
so we won't have to worry about this for very long.
Case in point. Yeah. Your case in point, Mumbai Indians were playing on exactly the same day. Now, what I mean by that is Mumbai Indians Cape Town. So Cape Town.
I like the fact they've not even tried to change the name.
As Mumbai. Yeah. They were playing on exactly the same day as Mumbai Indians Emirates, which is the ITL Dubai side. So, I mean, the brand Mumbai Indians, and I don't know what the one's going to be called in the American League, but it's going to be Mumbai Indians something.
Yeah, and it will soon be. I mean, we've heard a story about it towards the back end of not last year, the year before, when it comes to people like Joss Butler, Jofra Archer, people like Glenn Maxwell, and they will talk about the fact that he played golf in 48 degrees and then decided to have a beer with Brett Lee and fell down some stairs. Like, you're going to have these guys that are just...
Allegedly
apparently he didn't fall down the stairs either. I'm sorry, that's not how it happened.
You're going to get us done for libel, mate, honestly.
I'm not, because it's not true. I'm saying it's not true. But yeah, you're going to have these guys who are going to be getting paid 3, 4, 5 million quid a year to go round and play in all these, a bit like Live Golf have done to a certain extent. They're going to be getting paid, and they're going to manoeuvre the tournaments accordingly. So we can sit here and say that Mumbai Indians Miami is going to be, it's going to be a poor standard of cricket. It probably won't be, because you're going to have, at the minute, from what I can see, they've got no limit on overseas players. So it is just literally a superstar tournament.
Like in the ITL 20, they only have to pick 2 locals, don't they?
Yeah. So, and I've got a funny feeling that what will happen with that is the locals will include the West Indies, because that's the only way
in the American one.
In the American one.
Yeah.
So it's gonna say same continent, whatever you want to call it, and go, right, yeah, you're in. And all of a sudden, these West Indies lads, that's the only way I can see them making it work with the laws and stuff.
What does that then do to the CPL?
I think that'll just become one big tournament. I mean, you look at it; it's only 6 weeks later, 8 weeks later, and you go basically American League 100 CPL anyway. So it's going to make no odds. It'll all become one league, which might help regenerate West Indies cricket. At the end of the day, if you start getting people, we've seen, and we can talk about that. That is quite a pleasant segue, possibly, into that. But I can just see it changing things altogether. And if people are naive enough to think the ECB are going to try and cash in when it comes to the 100, then you're daft, in my opinion.
Well, it was built as something that they wanted to then flog on for a profit anyway. That was the whole point behind it. But the problem is no one wants to buy it. So there we go. Right, let's talk more kind of proper cricket, less hit and giggle cricket. There is a certain
SA20.
Go on.
Oh, no. No, SA20. You want to talk proper cricket? Okay.
Thanks for the contribution, Eugene. Let's do the SA20 then. Let's do that before we move on.
I think South Africa are going to win the T20 competition because of the SA20. I have to say, I've been watching a lot of the highlights and I managed to catch the odd game live here and there. I have thought that the quality of cricket has been phenomenal from the South Africans as well as the overseas stars. I must say that too. Specifically the English players. So it's been very, very, very good to see.
Do you mean the English South Africans?
The likes of Roy. Well, no. Well, I mean, Butler's having a stormer. Jason Roy's actually coming into form. He's looking pretty good. The person that I thought that was going to perform, who started off okay but is not doing so well at the moment, is Phil Salt, who's playing for the Pretoria Capitals after the great T20 he had in the West Indies.
Will Jack's got
so yeah. I mean, he did. Yeah. I mean, the strange thing is that the people that are scoring, the individuals that are scoring all the runs are the teams that are down at the bottom. I mean, Will Jacks has scored 100. Pretoria Capitals are stone last. The Mumbai Indians or my Cape Town, both openers have both scored.
Ryan Rickles,
290s.
how good is he?
Yeah, I mean, they're sitting in fourth place at the moment, only on 9 points.
When him and Van Dustin have just been smoking it everywhere.
Hey guys, it is Ryan. I'm not sure if you know this about me, but I'm a bit of a fun fanatic when I can. I like to work, but I like fun too. It's a thing. And now the truth is out there. I can tell you about my favorite place to have fun. Chumba Casino. They have hundreds of social casino style games to choose from with new games released each week. You can play for free anytime, anywhere. And each day brings a new chance to collect daily bonuses. So join me in the fun. Sign up now at ChumbaCasino.com.
No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. See terms and conditions. 18+.
Tired of ads crashing your comedy podcast party? Good news. Ad-free listening on Amazon Music is included with your Prime membership. Just head to Amazon.com/ad-free comedy to catch up on the latest episodes without the ads. Enjoy thousands of Acast shows ad-free for Prime subscribers. Some shows may have ads.
It's been one of these. That's why I say the quality of competition from my perspective has been really, really good. The English bowlers, wow. There's been wheels, there's been good control. It's been one of those tournaments that you sit there and you're going, this is actually half decent cricket. And I suppose it's been shown by the crowds. Pretty much every single ground has been sold out.
Yeah. No, the crowds have been fantastic. And thankfully, we haven't had too many people being interviewed in a KFC bucket, which has always been my problem with some of the South African coverage before. Not necessarily of the SA20, but of South African coverage in general. But no, I think it's a good tournament. I do think it's a good tournament.
Yeah.
I think they tend to play each other home and away kind of back to back, don't they? And then they kind of move around that way between different franchises. But look, Simon and I and Eugene, obviously, for slightly different reasons, but love South Africa and kind of love everything about it. So
just to finish up on that, Paul Royals are top. Yeah, maybe it had something to do with the interview that we had with Dane Villas, who's
possibly
a squad member of the Paul Royals.
Yeah.
He hasn't had a game yet. He did come on and field in the last game when David Miller got injured and had to walk off the field. So he came on as 12th man and fielded for him, and they ended up still winning the game. So, yeah, it's been good.
Lovely. Well, continue to do well, Dane. If you do get your chance, we are sure, as a friend of the podcast, that you will no doubt take it. So we will now move on to India and England. 5 Test series starts on Thursday. One of our players can't get a visa to get in India, into India, which obviously is no shock considering he is of Pakistani heritage. Shoaib Bashir, the Somerset spinner. I think they're also worried about him because he did so well against the Afghans in the Lions match. But another couple of notable absentees. Virat Kohli out of the first two tests for personal reasons, and Harry Brook has returned home for an unspecified amount of time, but the theory is that he will be able to join back up with the side later on in the tour. We assume it's for personal reasons, we assume something to do with family for both him and Kohli. But in both situations, not a huge amount of information has been passed to broadcasters or media or us or whoever else. So obviously it goes without saying we wish those two and their families all well. How do we feel about the upcoming Test series, Robbo? Are we expecting to see maybe a reasonable wicket early doors and then India to prepare raging Bunsons should England get on top early in the series? Or do we think they're just going to prepare?
I don't know. I think India are obviously a high quality outfit, like in all conditions. So we discussed this with the T20 when it was in India. They're a very good side at the end of the day. Yes, he's always going to spin more because it's in the subcontinent, it's in India, and that's just the nature of the pitches out there. So I think it'd be interesting to see. I think the first test will be it'll be interesting because it's, again, Bazball or England's ultra positive mindset going into a new environment. Yeah, they played it obviously in Pakistan, back end of the year before last, as we found out through Eugene. So I think the first test, it wouldn't surprise me. Yeah, but I don't know if the wickets did get drier. Obviously, we're going further and further through the Indian summer, so the wickets are probably going to get drier anyway. But I think this India side are good enough to beat anyone in the world, pretty much in most conditions. Right? You would have to say that. I think the Indians, we've seen what they want to do in terms of making money and making the tournaments and things that they're involved in be as profitable as possible. So I think they'll want 5-day test matches because that's what makes people more money. Does that mean they're going to be flat as a fart to start off with and then probably rag square? Yeah. Or does it mean they're going to spin more? They'll spin right the way through. As England, we need to be quite careful. We've always sat there and slagged off wickets in the subcontinent. And this is where I think Rohit Sharma did really, really well with the wickets that they played on in South Africa.
Yeah, he did.
Yeah, we need to be a bit careful. Like, we can't sit there playing on against Bangladesh in May on wet ones, wiping the floor with them, and then going, "Oh, we're just better than they are." Well, yeah, we're used to playing cricket in May in 8 degrees, and yet having a moan when you go to India and it's 36 degrees, swelteringly hot and spinning. Come on, it needs to be. That's the point of home advantage. That's why it is so hard to win away from home in Test cricket. We've seen that. There's not many countries that go around the world doing it. So I think it'll be a good series. In England's side will be interesting to see what balance they go with. Obviously, they've got a couple of young spinners in the squad. Whether they pick them or they use Root and as a kind of second spinner or third spinner, or however they're going to go about it. I think Leach is going to play, obviously. How they then balance their sides. Obviously, Brook coming home eases a selection dilemma for them a little bit. Lawrence has gone out there, and he's obviously turned down or cancelled his contract in the SA20 to go over there, which is an intriguing one because he's gone over there under no central contract, and so he's not. He only, from what I was reading, he only gets paid if he plays.
Yeah, I think he probably just wants to get back around that dressing room and show the coaching staff and Ben Stokes what he can do in the nets. I think that it's an automatic reselection for Ollie Pope, which I don't think was a certainty had Harry Brook have been in and around. I also think that Johnny will now bat and Ben Folkes will play as a specialist keeper.
Yeah.
So it will be interesting. I think I know what you mean about the wickets, and I agree that Rohit Sharma interview was very good and very insightful, and I think he spoke well about it. I think that I can't remember in which order the test matches are being played by City, and I don't know the breakdown of black soil versus red soil. I think all grounds tend to have both soil bases. Red soil tends to spin a lot more prodigiously than black soil, although you can turn a ball on black soil, obviously. But it wouldn't surprise me if the series gets tight that you may see more red soil pitches used towards the back end if India feel like they're a little bit behind the 8 ball. But as you quite rightly say, home advantage, fair play, good on him, right? But I completely take your point and Rohit Sharma's point about, they played on we had this conversation, didn't we? Was it a poor wicket, or did it create exciting cricket, that match at Newlands? But Test cricket should be played on wickets that challenge even the best players in the world, and so it'll be interesting to see how that goes. Eugene, what are your thoughts on the upcoming Clash of the Titans?
I think India are going to be too good. Although I think England will give them a good run for their money. Look, 2-class squads, and I will say squads because a 5-test series in India, I think you have to have proper squads. It'll be really interesting because I want to see how many of those 5 tests Jimmy plays in. He's moving on a bit now.
17 wickets he needs, I think. He needs 17 wickets to be Warren, I think. So, but we've got the West Indies, I think, and Sri Lanka coming over in the summer. So,
and I think more importantly, he's played 183 tests. I think he might become the only bowler to play 200 tests if he does get to that.
Wow.
And I mean, this is a bowler, obviously. The irony of it, or the I don't know if you want to say the stars align, England happen to be playing 17 tests this year.
17 tests in a year? That's hectic.
Yes. When you say this T20 stuff's catching on, England don't seem to think so. They're cramming as many test matches as they can in.
I'm just going to show you a photo. I got this earlier. In fact, obviously, I can't find it now.
Anyone listening to the podcast, this is probably not the best section for you.
Yeah, this is going to work really well. Yeah, exactly.
Hold on. Right.
Yeah, this photo is going to be great. But yeah, I think that England should select more spinners than seamers.
Look at him. He's unbelievable. He's in great shape. He could go on for years, the lad.
Are you talking about the picture of Jimmy? Yeah.
I mean, he's a fit lad.
He looks a bit dehydrated. His lips were so white.
Yeah, he looks like he might be passing out in having watched Brett Lee's band play. No, he's obviously a fit lad. Him and Brody are the epitome of why central contracts have worked. If everyone can ever formulate an argument as to anything against central contracts, all the ECB have got to do is point to those two and go, that's why it works. That's why it works. And Brody, to be fair, is retired at 36. Jimmy Anderson is still going at 41. And if you look at his last tour of India, he got, 16 wickets at 20. He's arguably bowling as well now. Yes, the Ashes series wasn't quite as prosperous for him as his previous ones. There can be 1,001 reasons for that. He plays, in my opinion. He's got enough wickets in around. He needs 9 to get to 700, doesn't he? So you got to stand there, look at it, and go, look, he plays. Wood, for me, is the other one that will play. I think they'll play Leach. They'll then play Rihan Ahmed as the second spinner, I think. Whether they choose to pick a seamer in that role, I don't actually think they've taken anyone that can bat at 8 well enough to challenge Rihan Ahmed in that job. Robinson and bowled a ball since in a competitive game, I don't think, since June.
So he's concentrating on his golf?
Well, yeah, he's caddying, and for his missus, because she's a professional golfer or something.
And who would blame him?
Well, yeah, fair enough. But she's going to make more money than he does. So I think that England side kind of picks itself now. You could argue that you try and move, do you pick Pope, and then Stokes goes up to 3, and people move up the order, but then you're leaving yourself exposed with a very long tail with Rihan Ahmed batting at 7. You haven't really got that unless they pick a Lawrence and you go Root and Lawrence as 2 spinners. So I don't know. And then the India side, obviously Kohli missing out, but they've got that fellow that got 100 against England Lions, who's a wicket keeper.
Yeah.
He's been drafted. He's been made to the squad. So KL Rahul will go up and bat at 4, and then he'll come in and bat at 7,
and take the gloves.
Jadeja, Ashwin, whichever other 9 spinners they choose to pick, with them Bumrah and Shami. Well, Shami's not picked in the squad, is he? So with Siraj, you'd say.
Yeah.
Is there
Siraj, who's become a serious bowler, by the way.
He's a bit, and he's got a long way to go to get to the name I'm about to say in terms of total wicket. He has got a bit of a Stuart Broad thing in him. When he gets on a roll, he bags 5 and 6 for quickly.
He did it in South Africa, didn't he?
Yeah, but if you start looking at him, he's bowling some really, which is interesting for their side because they've almost had to switch it around because everyone used to think that Bumrah was the guy that would have to bowl. You'd have to use in the short spells, and they had, well, Shami. They had what was in another name, the guy that bowled swung it both ways. Yeah, him. I can't remember his name. Great piece of commentary there from me. Just call me Uko. No, not Thakur. Bowls a bit slower than him.
Oh, yeah, Bhuvneshwar Kumar.
Yes, that's the Badger. But they tended to rotate them along with Bumrah being that kind of impact bowler, whereas what you've seen a bit more recently is Bumrah's the guy that runs in and, I mean, they just get wickets, don't they? As a bowling attack, they're just very, very good. And then Siraj has come in, and if he gets him on a roll, they keep him going. But then if he's not hit anything, they just go, right, you're out, someone else have a go. And then bring you back on 2 or 3 overs. Oh, yep, you're off and running now. And before you know it, he's got 4ther. And they broke the back of whoever they're bowling at. So from that point of view, interesting. You're still going to have England's same old challenges of can they play Jadeja? Can they play Ashwin?
Yeah.
Can they play Axar Patel? Can they play whichever other world-class spinner they're going to rock up? And
Kumar Yadav, the left armer. Yeah. I'm not sure if he'll play more of a one-day bowler now, isn't he? But it'll be interesting.
I mean, they did have that lad that got 6 for him on debut against South Africa in the first test, didn't they?
Washington Sundar's also a decent off spinner. I don't know if he's floating in and around the squad or not, but
he's more of that all-rounder role, though, isn't he?
Yeah.
So,
you're talking about Mukesh Kumar, the other bowler.
Yeah, okay. Kumar.
Early predictions for the 5-test series. What's the score, Eugene?
4-1 India.
Okay, Simon?
Can I say the same score?
You can say what you want.
4-0 India.
I don't think there'll be a draw. 4-1 India.
But Eugene went there first.
Yeah, I kind of just think I kind of think that England's best chance of winning a test is the first one, and because I think it's probably going to be the flattest wicket that they get to play on. So, and then I just think that Jadeja and Ashwin with Raj and Bumrah in home conditions are just going to be too good. And I don't think that England should give up on this mentality that they've got if they do get beaten 4-1, because it's been proven so far to be successful. But I think in Indian conditions, they're probably the one set of conditions where it might fall over quicker than it does anywhere else in the world. Does that make sense? Do you know what I mean by that? In terms of, I just think that the wickets might mean that playing that way might get them into trouble a little bit sooner than it would elsewhere.
I think they might have learned a lot from this Ashes series over last summer. When I'm hoping they have, and I'm still going, yes, I appreciate it. I said 4-0 India, but I think that's because India are just better in these conditions. But for me, it'll be interesting to see if they have learned from, let's say, the bounce episode at Lords.
Yeah, Lords, yeah.
And some of that short pitch bowling, some of the stuff in the first 2 test matches where they've admitted they got it wrong. There's obviously going to be a whole fresh set of challenges that come up in India. If England do get off to a flyer, they've got people that can bowl around the wicket into some in at leg stump and try and stem that scoring rate. much like Australia did with short pitch bowling. It's going to be how the interesting part for me is going to be watching how the England team retain a positive mindset despite what may be perceived as negative tactics from them, because we know India can bat all day. Like in India, the Indians can bat all day and they're on the right type of pitch. I think it'll be interesting to see how the tosses go. I think will be how England when England played in Pakistan, Ben Stokes was very much when's the best time for our guys to bowl, our best bowlers to bowl. So that's going to be when's going to be the best time for Mark Wood to be bowling, Jimmy Anderson, let's get the conditions right for him. Is it going to be a case of Jack Leach opens the bowling, for example, because like he did in that test match, when all of a sudden if it's reversing, that's when you want Jimmy Anderson bowling. So you're going to have two very different tactical games going off, well, tactical formats between the two teams. So I said 4-0 India. It wouldn't surprise me if England won 3-1. Because I think if they get on top of the situation and figure out a formula, much like the South Africans did, right? Under Graham Smith, when they had Dale Steyn and Morne Morkel, everyone was like, you need more spinners, you need more spinners. They went, no, we don't need more spinners. Our best bowlers aren't our spinners, so we pick our best bowlers. And they went and Graham Smith, being arguably one of the best captains of the last 30 years, went, no, I'm going to make sure the right bowlers are bowling at the right times. Get Dale Steyn, for example, when it starts reversing. Morne Morkel, you're going to bowl short spells and you're going to hit people. I just want you to try and hit people. And so for me, it's a bit of that, where you're going to have more traditional cricket being played by India and England trying to keep thinking of ways, how can we get 20 wickets? How can we get 20 wickets? Is that 3 spinners? Is that 2 spinners and Wood? Is that Groovy Fields? Is that whatever? And how can we get 300? How can we get 350?
Final question from me. What percentage chance are we giving England of a series win? Go on.
10%?
10. Okay. Simon?
35. I just think the reason I said 4-0 is I think India will win the key moments. I think it'll be very much like the Ashes series, where there'll be key moments on the way, but I think India will win most of them. It wouldn't surprise me if England won some of them, if England won their fair share of them, but they've got to figure out how this mentality plays in India, and they've got to figure it out quickly, because they're playing a couple of games in Abu Dhabi as inter-squad games, I think, aren't they? And then they're going out there. I mean, you've seen the Lions. The Lions have done well.
Yeah, they have.
Playing with that positive mindset. I think that Potts looks like a good bowler. I said that when he first came on the scene, and then he unfortunately got injured. He looks like a proper bowler.
Matthew Potts.
Yeah, I really like him. I like the angles he uses from. He's got that kind of thing where he runs it in at a batter but holds it.
Well, he did for Kane Williamson a few times, didn't he? With that,
You look, he kind of bowls it just a little bit. He's got like that kind of broad angle in towards off stump, which I really like. Makes people think about it, and then can deck it away. So all of a sudden, a leave, certainly in Indian conditions when the bounce can get a bit variable, doesn't become necessarily a safe option, which I really like. But obviously, he's in the line squad, not in the main squad. But you look at how they did, and they did really well in that first test. Well,
so well done for skirting around the question, but I'm still waiting for a percentage.
35. I said 35.
Apologies, missed that. Retracted, Your Honour. I think a lot of it's toss dependent. We know that the best time to bat in India in a test match is going to be the first dig, sometimes the second dig. But I just think that even if England rack up 500, India can rack up 650, and then India are going to be able to bat better in a second innings, regardless whether they're batting third or fourth in England. So I'm edging more towards Eugene. I'm going to say, 10%. I'm with Eugene. I was toying with the idea of saying 5%, but I'm not altogether that confident. If they do it, then what a phenomenal result. First time we've won over there since 2012. It's a series victory. But we shall see, shan't we? But thank you, gentlemen. Eugene, I very much look forward to seeing you on Thursday, my dear friend. We shall be spending the evening together in London, El Capital. And gentlemen, we shall reconvene again this time next week, minus 24 hours. Until then,
See you later.
love you, bye.
Bye.
Sports Social Podcast Network.
For the ones who get it done, the most important part is the one you need now. And the best partner is the one who can deliver. That's why millions of maintenance and repair pros trust Grainger, because we have professional-grade supplies for every industry, even hard-to-find products. And we have same-day pickup and next-day delivery on most orders. But most importantly, we have an unwavering commitment to help keep you up and running. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.